वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरम्।
You are all aware that every year Republic Day is celebrated in India on the 26th January with great grandeur and pride. It is a day to honor our Constitution. As a part of commemorating this day, let us commence the celebrations. Now may I request my Lord Honorable Chief Justice Sri Prashant Kumar Mishra ji to unfold the national flag, followed by national anthem on police band. May I request Sri K. Janaki Ramireddy Garu, President AP High Court Advocates Association, to deliver his message on the occasion of Republic Day.
The Honorable Chief Justice Sri Prashant Kumar Mishra ji, the Honorable Judges, family members of the Honorable Chief Justice and family members of the Honorable Judges, Land Advocate General, respected Chairman Bar Council, Land Public Prosecutor, Land Deputy Solicitor General, Senior Advocates, colleague advocate friends, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that India is celebrating 74th Republic Day today, and it gives me privilege to extend warm wishes and greetings to one and all. It commemorates the day that Indian Constitution came into effect in the year 1950, and ever since the Indian people are celebrating this day as our nation's Republic Day. Although India gained independence on August 15th, 1947, there was no national constitution at that time. But after much deliberation and thought, a committee led by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar presented a draft of the Indian Constitution, which was adopted on November 26, 1949 and took effect on January 26, 1950. Initially, the Constitution of India was enacted and adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949, which we now celebrate as Constitution Day. But it was made effective 2 months later. This was done to mark the day in 1930 when India resolved to win complete freedom. From 1930 to 1947, every year 26 January was celebrated as Purna Swaraj Day, and that was the day chosen to put the constitution into force. Mahatma Gandhi in 1930 had advised fellow citizens how Purna Swaraj Day to be celebrated. He said, I quote, "Remember that since we desire to attain our end by non-violent and truthful means only, we can do so only through self-purification. We should therefore devote the day to doing such constructive work as lies in our power to do." Gandhiji's advice is timeless. He wanted us to join hands with others and contribute towards the making of a better India and a better world. Republic Day is a time for all Indians to come together and celebrate the values and principles that make our country great. It is a time to remember the sacrifices and struggles of our freedom fighters and to reaffirm our commitment to building a better, more prosperous and inclusive nation for all. What we are celebrating today is not just a ritual or a festival, but an epoch-making event that marked the beginning of a new era in the history of our nation. As we celebrate this day, it is also important for us to remember the importance of protecting and preserving the Constitution. It is our duty as citizens to uphold the principles and values laid down in the Constitution and to work towards building a better, stronger and more prosperous nation. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said, "However a good a constitution may be, if those who are implementing it are not good, it will prove to be bad. However bad a constitution may be, if those implementing it are good, it will prove to be good." We must work towards creating a society that is inclusive and equal, where everyone has an opportunity to succeed and reach their full potential. We must strive to promote peace, harmony, and fraternity among all communities and to build a nation that is united and strong. Finally, on behalf of the members of the Advocates Association, I convey my sincere and heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Chief Justice Prashant Kumar Mishra ji for accepting the appeal made on August 15, 2022 from very same dais to recruit the sufficient staff to solve the problems of advocates community and litigant public. That has become fruitful now as the recruitment process is in final stage to recruit 312 staff members. I personally belong to Radhaswami Satsang, wherein the founder of the Radhaswami Satsang, Swamiji Maharaj, in his Satsang says that Ek baat suno, baki hota. It means if you follow one, the rest of all will be taken care by itself. In the context of satsang, it means what is that one has to follow is if you devote your time in Amrita Vela to pray Almighty, the rest of the day will be taken care by Almighty Himself. So also the problems of all the advocate community and litigant public are going to be solved as the Honorable Chief Justice has accepted that one request made on 15th August 2022. I further make one more appeal to the Honorable Chief Justice to complete the process of filling the vacancies of the Honorable Judges from the bar also. With this, I would conclude my speech by saying that on this Republic Day, let us renew our commitment to building a strong and vibrant nation that is respected and admired by the world. Here I quote Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who said, "We are all born with a divine fire in us. Our efforts should be to give wings to this fire and fill the world with the glow of its goodness." I once again wish you a very happy Republic Day. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Association, Deputy Solicitor General, my friend Public Prosecutor Mr. Nagareddy, members of the Bar Council, Senior Council, Registrar and staff of the High Court, clerks, and media friends and ladies and gentlemen, police personnel especially. Today we are celebrating the Republic Day. The entire country is celebrating, but in a different way. especially judiciary, advocates and judiciary, both legal profession and judiciary, which are important role to play in preserving the Constitution. After attaining the independence, after sacrificing of many people, especially the pridely we can say that people belong to this profession, led the freedom movement and attained the independence. Thereafter, in 1950, this Constitution was given to ourselves. We, the people of India, solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign, socialistic, secular, democratic republic. Therefore, it is the people who made this Constitution, Constituent Assembly. Maybe there also, most of the members of the Constituent Assembly belong to our predecessor in this profession, and gave a wonderful document called Constitution, to enjoy the fruits of the independence which was attained by us after so much struggle to preserve that freedom, spirit of freedom, for a proper governance. This Constitution was brought into existence. Unless we preserve that Constitution, and the very purpose of attaining the independence will not be achieved. We are all of us playing, especially the persons gathered here, the various forms, fundamental duties, fundamental rights of the citizens are protected through the courts, especially through the higher judiciary, through the role played by the advocate community by assisting the judiciary, directly or indirectly, because the judiciary is born in the bar and thereafter they were elevated to the bench. And by assisting the judiciary, we are also going to play an important role. As we said commonly always, that the two wheels of the chariot has to move together for achieving these constitutional objectives. But in the practice, I recollected in 2014, when we just inaugurated in a temporary building the High Court, and on 26th January 2014, I reminded my request that advocate community, being a weak brother among these functionaries, look forward to the judiciary, take care of them also. Unless both the wheels move together, the very purpose of achieving the goals of the Constitution is very difficult. Being a weak brother, it is always duty of the elder brother, judiciary, to take care of the cause of the advocate community also. I have no doubt in my mind, under the dynamic leadership of the Honorable Chief Justice, will take care of all the future requirements. As on today, still we are struggling without having proper infrastructure. No doubt it is a common problem for the judges as well as the advocates. And I hope and trust within short period we will get some more accommodation, and with the active support of the judiciary we will be able to overcome the shortcomings. And all of us have to do our little bit of duty, because this Constitution, being a functionaries under the Constitution, we do a little thing, one more step towards achieving that goal. And I hope and trust that we will be able to discharge our functions effectively in the spirit with which the Constitution was brought, with the spirit with which this duty was entrusted to us. I thanks for the opportunity. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Ramarao Garu. May I now request the learned Advocate General Sri Sriram Garu to deliver his message on the occasion of Republic Day.
My Lords, the Honorable the Chief Justice, Honorable Judges, family members of the Honorable Judges, Chairman Bar Council, President Bar Association, the Deputy Solicitor General, law officers, senior counsel, officers of the registry, advocate community, and every one of us who has assembled here. Greetings at the foremost on the 74th Republic Day, when the founding fathers spent those many years into crafting a document with active participation from the founding mothers, as the Honorable Chief Justice of the country reminded us recently. We have a transformational document, as the Constitution has always been described, to regulate the affairs of the post-independent India. When we gave to ourselves the sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic, we gave to ourselves a representative democracy and a few constitutional structures. The process of representation may be different for each of the structures. A few may have been constitutionally posited as a consequence of electoral process. Few other institutions may have another process of constituting itself. Representative, all these institutions nevertheless are of the aspirations of the entire country, so as to herald a participative, inclusive, and representative constitutional structures. Constitutional structures have been built over a period of time to outlast every single citizen's lifetimes in order to assure to everybody the continuance of a robust framework of institutional guardianship of the respective roles assigned to each of these institutions. Built into these constitutional structures is the interinstitutional and the intra-institutional courtesies as a part of constitutional culture that the Supreme Court has been talking about, which is to be shared. Any self-respecting institution or a constitutional structure cannot give up its role in the governance of this country. Primarily this institution, which is at the vanguard of protecting the democratic rights of this people. But the constitutional culture, and now the more frequently adopted phraseology of constitutional morality, requires all these constitutional structures to respect and nurture each other's growth, each other's existence, and each other's entitled, respectful space in the constitutional scheme of affairs. And when we herald that constitutional culture without reference to the incumbency of each of these constitutional structures, irrespective of our private preferences in regard to who mans these constitutional structures, we truly herald the constitutional culture of constitutional governance, with the institution of judiciary being at the helm of ensuring that rest of all the institutions work within the respective spheres. When we speak of the Constitution being a transformational document, an inclusive society, as the Supreme Court repeatedly exhorts us to participate in, then a true test of an institution being representative is the sense of belonging each of these institutions creates amongst its participants and amongst the governed. An approach that will nurture a thought process of being included in the governance of the respective structures, about being responsible and responsive to the aspirations of the stakeholders that participate in the working of any of the institutions, goes a long way to ensuring that the constitutional culture of governance that was primarily the intent behind creating these structures gets embedded in our day-to-day process of intra and interactive functioning of each of these institutions. with all that we have seen in the last 73 years, we are not very sure that all these can be taken for granted. Each one of us has to continuously be engaged while being respectful and self-respecting of our own dignity and space to ensure that there is no further set or organized or unorganized process that would defeat the constitutional culture that needs to ingrain the functioning of the democratic institutions in this country. While each one of the institutions has been functioning in their respective domains, the institution of judiciary has a bigger role in the very constitutional scheme of things to ensure that there is an orderly, futuristic, human rights based, citizen-centric democracy in this country. And while being appreciative of all that has gone by in the last 72 years, here is hoping that all of us will put in our might to ensuring that there are days ahead of true and complete and fulfilling realization of democratic goals of governance in this country. While congratulating the country on its relentless pursuit of growth with inclusiveness as also participation of every section, I also hope and trust that the Constitution and consequently the country continues to govern itself in accordance with the primary ideals of the Constitution. God bless this country. God bless this institution.
Thank you, Sriram Garu, Learned Advocate General, for your informative message. May I now request my Lord Honorable Chief Justice to deliver his Lordship's message on the occasion of Republic Day.
My esteemed sister and brother judges, Learned Advocate General Sri S. Sriram, President AP High Court Bar Association Sri Janaki Rami Reddy, Chairman Bar Council of AP Sri Ganta Ramarao, Additional Advocate General, Deputy Solicitor General, Public Prosecutor, other law officers, honored senior advocates, members of the bar, members of the judicial fraternity, officers of the registry, family members of honorable judges, judicial officers, police personnel, staff of the High Court, members of print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome and a very good morning to you all on this momentous occasion of the 74th Republic Day of our great democracy. I extend to you all my heartiest felicitations and best wishes. We became free on 15th August 1947. The dream was realized, but there were aspirations in the hearts of the people. Freedom was achieved, but sovereignty still had to be. Our insightful leaders were alive to the situation. In the elation of freedom, ultimate goal was not lost sight of by them. They wanted people to experience real freedom by giving them sovereignty. The outcome was the sacrosanct document called the Constitution. On this day in the year 1950, the Constitution was dedicated to the people. 2 days ago, on 23rd January, we have observed 126th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who had coined the salutation, Jai Hind. His pursuit for independence and his ambition to make India great inspires the whole nation. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of independent India, in his message to the countrymen on the birth of the Indian Republic, said that we must rededicate ourselves to the peaceful but sure realization of the dream that had inspired the father of the nation and the other captains and soldiers of our freedom struggle. The dream of establishing a classless, cooperative, free and happy society in the country. Friends, the attainment of social, economic and political justice along with liberty and equality of the citizens was enshrined in the preamble as the objective of the Constitution. The powers and functions of the various organs of the state and their inter se relation were defined. The concept of parliamentary democracy was introduced with an executive responsible to the legislature. The judiciary was entrusted with the responsibility to test the legislation on the touchstone of the constitutional provisions and to protect the rights of the citizens. Speaking on the occasion of Constitution Day, Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, the Chief Justice of India, has said, "Story of the Indian Constitution is not the story of legal text, but a story of human struggle and sacrifice, a story of undoing injustice for the marginalized, the women, the Dalits, and the disabled. The first wave of resistance against the colonial power came from the indigenous communities of India. The Constitution is a social contract between those in power historically and the marginalized who sought to govern themselves." His Lordship further went on to say, "It is important to tap into the rich experience of all members of the judiciary, and that is why it is important that marginalized community and women in the legal profession are enhanced." The Indian judiciary has been at the forefront of protecting the marginalized. He added, "We have to make sure that the justice delivery system is accessible to everyone." A day before, on 24 January 2023, Honorable CGI declared that judgments of the Supreme Court will now be translated in 4 languages, namely Hindi, Gujarati, Odia and Tamil. Adding to that, he said, "Access to justice cannot be meaningful unless citizens are able to understand in a language which they speak and comprehend." His Lordship said that English is a language which is not comprehensible, particularly in its legal avatar, to 99% of our citizens, in which case, really, access to justice cannot be meaningful. Following the footsteps of the Supreme Court and what Honorable CGI said, we shall take up the initiative to make available judgments and orders of the High Court in Telugu. On 30th December 2022, Honorable CGI was in our midst at the inaugural function of AP Judicial Academy, High Court Digitization Program, Neutral Citation and E-Certified Copy Application. His Lordship stated that we are united in a common pursuit for achieving certain universal values, and those universal values for us are defined by the Constitution. The values of liberty, equality, fraternity and human dignity. So much as we have different backgrounds, our different backgrounds must be perceived by us as a source of enrichment, because it symbolizes the diversity of India, and the diversity of India as a nation is reflected in the diversity of profession within the folds of every state, and AP is no exception. As expressed by His Lordship, digitization of judicial record is a very important step to the modernization of the judicial system. By digitizing the records, we can make them more accessible, efficient and secure. And we have decided that alongside the digitization, we are introducing the system of, or the science of artificial intelligence to improve the functioning of the court in the matters of classification of cases, finding out similar matters, batch matters, which can be disposed of, or those which should not wait for long because the legal principle has already been settled in some other case by our High Court. To expedite the judicial process and to see that the fruits of litigation reaches to the common man at the earliest, the artificial intelligence would help us in a long way. And in our such pursuit, we have been receiving the assistance of all concerned, particularly the state government. Necessity is the mother of invention, which can be understood in its true context when the whole world was grappling with COVID catastrophe. This pandemic has pushed India towards espousing technology, even in the field of justice delivery. It is now more than ever that the need is being felt to widely invest and rely on IT so as to ensure that process of justice delivery does not get hampered. High Court of AP is comparatively a new High Court. We are in the process of building the institution with the support of all the stakeholders. We have undertaken one of the biggest recruitment drives in the district judiciary in the country and in the High Court as well. A new and fully functional 14 courtroom building, complete in all respect, would be made available to us in less than 3 months from now, wherein we would have a fully equipped library with around 1 lakh books. We would also be having an e-library where not only Indian law journals but also most of foreign law journals would be available. When we talk about the love and affection for the Constitution, I am reminded of my early days when I was in school and intermediate, and I used to accompany my maternal grandfather, my father's maternal uncle, Pandit Kishori Mohan Tripathi, who was a member of the Constituent Assembly, with whom I used to travel to Delhi as his attendant. As he was a freedom fighter is always allowed to travel free Indian Railways along with the attendant. And at times he used to encourage me, will you accompany me this time? And I used to go there and attend the freedom fighters conferences with him. And at that time, while moving with him, I understood the importance of being faithful to the Constitution, to the oath, and to the duties which you perform, which are assigned to you in the ordinary course of nature. It is not that you will be there to assign and the work for the institution only when you are called upon. It's a 24/7 process. It goes on every second of your mind, how to do better, how to perform, and how to behave in a manner which signifies the institutional integrity in a person's behavioral pattern, whether he is a common man, he is having a constitutional post, whether he is a lawyer, whether he is a staff of the High Court, whether he is a policeman. Everybody owes a duty to the Constitution. What I think is that with the support of all the stakeholders and with hand-holding by all of us, we can build this institution which will be a premier High Court in the days to come. Thank you all.
Thank you, Millard, the Honorable Chief Justice, for your valuable and enriching Republic Day message. We thank the Honorable Chief Justice for taking personal attention in guiding us for conducting this Republic Day function. We thank all the Honorable Judges and family members for their gracious presence. We also thank the Learned Advocate General, Chairman, Bar Council and President, AP High Court Advocates Association, Public Prosecutor, Learned Senior Advocates, Registrars, Judicial Officers and staff, police personnel, print and electronic media for attending the celebration and making this event a memorable one. Now it is time for National Anthem by the staff of High Court.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गादा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद।
With the permission of my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, I declare that the Republic Day celebration is concluded. Now may I request all the dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, to kindly have refreshments arranged in the lawns.